This is an interesting question. Ptolemy was mainly a scientist, so he wrote this book on astrology, the Tetrabiblos, to go along with his astronomy work. But in the book, Ptolemy tells us that he is not using everything that normal working astrologers were doing. In fact, if you read his book, it can be hard to do a chart reading with it. Most of his astrology has to do with the four angles and the sun and moon and the relationships the other planets have to the sun and the moon. So, for example, in looking at the house of children, or the topic of children, I don't think he uses the fifth house at all, and he doesn't have a lot of children. He only uses the lot of fortune among the lots, and he doesn't reverse it by night. So these were choices that he made because he didn't think that a lot of normal astrology was scientific enough. So this is the funny thing, because later medieval authors, they had the book of Ptolemy, the Tetrabiblos, but really they were working with people like Dorotheus and other practicing astrologers. So the two kinds of astrology were not exactly the same. And but at some time during the Middle Ages, European astrologers they had all of this astrology from the Persians and the Arabs, and they translated it into Latin. But when they were rediscovering old Greek works, they rediscovered the work of Ptolemy. And because Ptolemy was older, they thought that maybe Ptolemy was the real astrologer. Maybe his astrology was the real astrology, and what they were getting from Arabic was a mixture of all sorts of things. So that was a mistake. Ptolemy is a great writer, and he reports a lot of important things, but he was not doing astrology in the way that normal astrologers were doing them. And that is one good reason why we should revisit Dorotheus, because we can see what some of the older astrologers were really doing.